Hello everyone, anyone who's watching. My name is Edward from Lantic Academy. I'm an online teacher, teach languages online. Welcome to my classroom. So you can see by the wall, this is where I teach classes online to little children and sometimes to adults as well. I am making this video because I was telling Aaron the other day on an email that this project that you have going on of the open source materials for language learning, I've found it, honestly, very, very useful, extremely useful for my lessons, for my teaching planning and all of that. So I wrote down a few points of what I think are the main parts or the main points really where I've benefited from this project and what I think makes it such a great thing. Number one, it would be the fact that it gives materials that are more real life examples of the use of the language that any of my students are learning. I have students in Spanish and English and in Chinese as well, and the materials that I've been finding that I found on the drive that you have been preparing are very realistic in terms of the examples that they give of language use. Right, At the Market was one of the first ones that I used, and actually one of my favorites. I've been using it a lot with my beginner students, and it's very popular. They really like it because it really gives genuine examples of how language is actually used, and it allows me to just generally take this short dialogue of just one page or even less than a page really, and turn it into a 1-hour lesson with going over details of how to use these phrase, that phrase, these expression, etc. Even in the translated versions, not just in the English one, but in the Spanish one or even in the Mandarin Chinese one as well. So that's point number one. Number two, I'd say it's well fitted for the level of my students. The ones that say beginners is beginners, the one that says intermediate is intermediate. It's generally well fitted, which is something really rare and really difficult to find. I don't know, at least for me, I've experienced that whenever I find a book that says that it's supposed to be a beginner's level, it's beginners, but to the point that it's just too easy for a beginner. Even for a beginner, it's too easy. It's almost childish in that sense. It's not just beginners, but it's childish at times. And a lot of my students, I do have kids that study language with me, but I also have adults, and they don't appreciate when the lesson or the content of the lesson seems a bit childish simply because it's meant to be a beginner's level. So yeah, it's very fitting to the level that it's supposed to be, and I like that. I really appreciate that, and I think I appreciate it mostly because I see my students enjoy it when they're taking the lesson, when we're reading through the dialogues. They don't feel like we're playing a game. They don't feel like a kid. They feel treated like an adult who's just learning another language, and that helps because obviously there is always a bit of shyness going around learning a new language, feeling unable to express your thoughts and ideas in this foreign language. But the more you're able to reduce that, the reasons that give you that feeling, the better. And so the material being so well fitted to the level without patronizing them, I would say is one of the main benefits. Probably that's what I would say. That's the best word to describe it. Patronizing. Sometimes I feel like texts or dialogues or examples that we find in textbooks for language learning tend to be a little bit patronizing with the student. They simply assume that, okay, you're a beginner, so we're going to have to just play everything down to the level of beginners where every single word is too easy, it's too simple. Whereas with this project of yours, because so many people are collaborating, so many people are, putting in their word, their help, that makes it genuine. And because they're not teachers, or maybe the majority of them are not teachers, it just gives it this sense of reality, this feel of reality, of genuine language, where they do challenge my students at times. It's a beginner's text, but every now and then they'll run into a word or a sentence that'll be like, whoa, what's that? That one, I have no idea. And they'll struggle a little bit with it, and they'll need my help with it. But they like that. They like to feel challenged. Not just the adults, even the children. Children don't like to be patronized, I find, when they're learning something. And so that's why I actually tend to stay away from textbooks when I teach languages. And this project has been great for that. It just gives me material that, if I'm not using textbooks, then I'm always, scouring the internet for stuff to use. Sometimes I have to write my own, but, I'm just a one person. So obviously having this where we all help, we all benefit from each other's experience, project the people writing there might be trying to contribute, improving their writing skills or improving their language that they are actually practicing by writing in that language. They benefit from that. And me as a teacher, I benefit because I get good, realistic materials that don't patronize and respect my students. And then they benefit because they just feel more comfortable and they feel more encouraged to actually do the thing and learn and practice. So that's been great. Another point, let me see that I have here. Another point that I have here is that the cultural background comes through in the writings of so many different people from so many different countries and natives to so many different languages and learning yet other languages. That really comes through, that really shines through these materials that we're using, that you're producing, because what that means is that, you know, when I'm teaching a Spanish class the other day, I was teaching a Spanish class, and there were some words there that they noticed. They were like, oh, I'd never seen that word before. And I told them, oh, that'd be because I teach you a Latin American Spanish, because I'm from Costa Rica. So I teach a Latin Spanish because that's the one I'm most comfortable with. I do, because I did have to study the European Spanish, or the Spanish from Spain, really. And I am able to explain those, but I don't naturally go there. I don't naturally think of it when I'm teaching my lesson. So the students noticed and they were like, oh, what's that word? That word, I've never seen that. And it seemed like it should have been a very beginner's word, and they noticed that they didn't know it before. So that just, you know, it enriches my class. Obviously, as a teacher, you're limited to your experiences and your knowledge. And, you know, we try to bring materials from outside, but there is only so much we can do. So these materials just bring that little bit extra, you know, that little bit extra culture, which is, to me, one of the key reasons why I learn languages, to learn and experience other cultures. Same when we are learning English, you know, there's differences between British English and between an American English and a British English, an Australian English. These expressions, common expressions, words and others, sometimes even measurements. There is a story where we were talking about inches and they were asking me, oh, why not centimeters? And then in another one where they're talking about euros and they're like, oh, isn't that pounds? I'm like, oh, that would be the currency in the UK. Euros is in most of the EU zone, and, you know, the dollars in other countries. And then we could talk about the fact that there's the US dollar, the Canadian dollar, the Hong Kongese dollar, the Australian dollar, etc., etc. So it's just so rich in the cultural background that reflects how many people from so many different languages and countries and cultures are contributing to the project. And I think that just makes for such interesting lessons when I teach. Now they feel like, wow, you're bringing in so much more than you used to before. And it's not really anything I've done. I haven't changed the lesson, really. All I'm doing is just getting materials from this project, which just has that in its nature because of the way you've designed it to be. So honestly, that is one of my favorite things. 10 out of 10 for that is great for enriching a lesson, enriching a class, and making it more interesting to me to teach, for me to teach, and for the student to learn and to get interested and excited about what he's learning or what she's learning. Let's see. Another point I have here, last one, so that I don't make this too long. Apologies for the noise. I do live near an airport, and it's pretty hard to find a time of the day when I can record without the airplane noise getting in the way. So, and now that we're heading to winter, it's more like, how many hours of the day do I get for filming between my teaching, the filming, the planes, and the light, because, you know, the sunset goes down and I don't have very good lighting in my room, so it's all a bit of a mess. Anyways, last point, let me see here. I wrote it down. Right. This one it's actually something that happened. That's why I took so long to make this video, because I knew I wanted to talk about this. And I received your email last week, and I was like, actually, I'll wait until I finish teaching that class, that little project I had going on with that other student, then I'll make this video so I can talk about it. What I would say has been my favorite thing that I experienced so far with how this project has affected my lessons and the teaching that I do is that there was this student who was a little bit demotivated with his learning process. He kind of, like, you know, just started losing interest, started losing his drive, his passion for learning Spanish, and he started losing it simply because, you know, life gets busy. It's an adult student, so life gets busy, you know, life gets in the way, And it's a lot of effort to learn a new language, especially after a certain age. It gets difficult to learn another language. So it started kind of like really not, feeling it. And I feel like maybe even the current circumstances that we're all in all around the world, but we're all staying home for so many hours and for so many days at a time, that, yeah, we just feel like disconnected and lose touch with why am I learning a language, to communicate with other people, which people, especially if you live in the country where you don't use that language or you're trying to learn, it can get a bit difficult to keep yourself motivated. So with this student, I actually brought some of the texts, some of the dialogues that had been written by some of the people contributing to the project. We read them through, we used them for a couple of lessons, and then I suggested, hey, how about, since you seem to be enjoying them, you think that are good, I mentioned what the project is and how I got, where I got these materials from. Because obviously I'm not trying to take any credit where it is in mine. So I obviously do tell my students this is a new project and I'm really excited about it. So I do share with my students like, hey, I found this great project that this guy is doing online and he started it and now a lot of people are participating. So I do tell them that, and I told him as well, and he thought it was great. He thought it was a very good idea. So I told him, hey, why don't we try and you write one? I'll help you. I'll guide you. If you want to do it in Spanish, because he's learning Spanish. If you want to do it in English, then we can do it in English first, and then I'll do a translation for you, and then I'll guide you through how I, arrived to that, and then we can learn that. So we'll be essentially learning something that you wrote yourself in the language you're trying to learn. And then I'll make sure to send it over to the people running this project so that, other students benefit from your work, from your creative work. And that really clicked with my student. That really clicked. Like, we had not been having many lessons lately, and now he got excited about it, participating in these writing. It's been texting me back and forth, or I've been reading the story that we wrote together. I've been rereading it, checking it out. I really like it. I'm excited, and that's really given my student, and not just him, but other students as well. This is just a one particular case that I think was more evident. That just gives them this feeling. It allows them to regain this motivation, this initial drive that they had for, well, yeah, that's why I'm learning a language. It's because I wanna be a part of a community. I want to be a part of a new culture. I want to learn about a different culture, experience a new culture, and cooperate, and just feel a little bit less lonely in this whole process. And that's been really greatly beneficial for my student, and obviously for me as a teacher, as an educator. It makes me happy. It makes me excited to see a student that was probably a little bit less motivated than he used to be excited again about it, to be excited again about learning, about trying, and even about contributing and helping, feeling that, oh yeah, in this language that I'm learning, I might feel a little bit down at times. I might feel a little bit incapable at times because I'm not as fluent as I wish I were. But I can help somebody with what is my native language, in my students' case, English, with what they find challenging. I know I can write a story that to me seems pretty easy, pretty simple, showcase my culture, showcase the cultural differences between the way we speak English in my country, is from my students' perspective, right? The way they speak English in his country and the way that English is spoken in other countries, in other nations around the world, and these cultural differences and everything. And just, it's very fascinating, and it just brings so much excitement and so much passion to the whole learning process again, which is something that I'm very passionate about. So yeah, those were my points. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time. I just wanted to make sure that I actually, gave it the time to be clear on what exactly is it that I was talking about when I said, hey, this is a great project and I really like it. This is what I meant. So far, it's been 2 or 3 weeks, I reckon, that I've been using the materials that some people have been uploading, and I'm really loving it. Thank you very much. And to you, Aaron, for putting it together. Very nice to meet you over video. Hope we can meet maybe on a video call or maybe even in person one day. But yeah, thank you very much for your help, for the project, for the idea. It's honestly been grand. It's been great. I've been watching your channel for quite some time because I'm really into linguistics and I really want to learn more about it. And when I watched that live video that you made, that live stream that you made, and you introduced the project, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be a good one. I really like it, and I was really looking forward to it. And I think I wasn't wrong. I'm definitely not disappointed. It has not let me down at all.